We all have our life stories. Mine's no different, I guess. I grew up in, I guess, what was considered a middle-class family that went down the toilet pretty quickly from a class perspective. I never went to university. There was no such a thing in the world that I grew up in. I did lots of odd jobs. Ironically enough, I got employed by Ernst & Young. It was a scary world for me to walk into, all the suit and ties and the grey coats, all the auditors. I became a qualified IT auditor and specializing in data analytics. Started up departments, traveled extensively all across the world. It just never sat right with me. It got to a point in my career where, I just stuck into the bottle. I started drinking heavily. The point being is that I became a card-carrying, full-blown alcoholic. Today I can happily sit here and I can say I've been sober for 10 years. And I'm very grateful for that, because what that's allowed me to do is to relook at myself, relook at my life. So one day I just went to my wife and I said, listen, I got to make a change. I sat down and I said to myself, when was I happiest? That happened to be the time when we were doing poultry farming as a young family, when I was still living with my parents. We had nothing. We were literally living hand to mouth. But I was happy, very, very happy. So I said to my wife, okay, I think we should go back into farming. So I started doing research, and IT, you do a lot of research. And I happened to come across permaculture. For me, permaculture, the definition of permaculture is the design of natural systems that interact with one another. And when I talk about natural, I don't just talk about agriculture. I'm talking about everything that surrounds us as human beings, including us human beings. That's really what it boils down to. It's really very simple. We looked around for a site for a long, long time, all over the country. We found the site where we are now at a very, very good price. And pretty much 6-7 months ago we came here permanently. That was the 10th of December of last year, 2015. It's now 26 July 2016, so it's pretty much 7 months. Okay, how my own farm works. In permaculture we design in what we refer to as zones, from zone 0 through to zone 5. We do that in relation to the energy that you as a human being spends in walking there, as an example. Coming back, the amount of time that you spend there, so you're stacking in both time and space. On my farm, we've only been here 6 months, so there's really not much infrastructure on it just yet. We've got a specific space where we're going to put our barn house. That'll be our zone 0. And what you'll notice is that we'll put our own gardens around that. That would be zone 1. Then we've got our chicken run that we've built, which will be zone 2. Zone 3 and 4 is where we have our large swales, our market garden, our piggery, our ponds, that kind of stuff. And then zone 5 is where we currently have our goats. That's cleaning up where we're going to have our food forest eventually. The main aim for the site is we're turning it into a permaculture demonstration site. We know that people tend to learn easier when they're in an environment where they can see that what they're learning is actually practically possible. So that's what we're doing. We're putting all those practical things into play, and we want people to see it so that when they do come for training, they can actually see it's working in all scales, in all forms. So from the smallest of gardens for the smallest of backyards in Grahamstown to the large-scale farmers. We want them all to be able to see what they can do with permaculture. And there's a lot of people that can benefit from a site like this in the Eastern Cape. And I must say this because I have said it many times before. I'm not in this to grow food or systems for other people. I am in this so that we can teach people how they can do this themselves and become self-sustaining, self-empowered. And that's very important to all of us. It's been fun. It's been a lot of fun. Difficult sometimes. This site has no infrastructure, so we're building everything from scratch. But that's what we wanted. We are experimenting as we go. This is not work. We are having fun. I really couldn't ask for more. To use an example, last night we had a big storm, which is the first one in many months. And we decided to have a bit of family time. We live in this little 3 by 3 meter little room, all 5 of us, my wife and myself, the 3 children, on a triple decker bunk bed, along with 3 kittens and 2 dogs. We don't have power. We use a little eco box to charge our phones and stuff like that. We use a gas oven and simple things, simple life. And that's perfect because we don't need a big massive house. You never see each other in those big houses. Everyone's got their own room. Last night we were all stuck in this little room with a big storm, and we ran the Jenny, and we watched a movie together. We had a bag of chips, and when my boys were sitting there on the bunk bed watching, and I had my wife next to me, and in between my wife and I was my 4-year-old little girl, apple of daddy's eye. As we were watching the movie, every so often she would float these little butterfly kisses to me. I mean, that's as close to perfection as what I can come in this lifetime. I can't really ask for more.